We've had our beginning, and so moving on to public comment. Do we have any individuals here for public comment?
Well, I have a question.
Well, you're the public, I guess you can ask a
Yeah,
question.
I sent every one of you guys, and John and I had a conversation about signage for the town meeting.
Mhm.
And the only one I had conversation with is, well, two, John, Mark and John.
Mhm.
And I went there today, and there's no mention of any town meeting at the Quabbin Regional School District.
I thought you talked with Chairman
So
Brophy.
we did hear back from them, and they can put it up as soon as school lets out.
Yeah,
When is that?
Oh, not till the 22nd.
yeah,
It's a meeting,
Oh, you did hear come, oh, that's good,
yeah.
that's a good news response,
Yeah.
that's good,
So they're happy to put it up for us as soon as school lets out.
thank you.
which I don't think is till the
But it's not
21st or
for a bit still.
22nd, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Would you like to read the email, Sam? I have it, if you'd like it.
That's, you know, if that's the best they can do, at least they gave a response, but we need signage.
Mhm. We agree.
We need, and I don't wanna put the chief under the bus, but he's here. He's the back of me?
Oh,
Yeah,
they,
he's
oh,
here.
they-
He's here.
He's the back of me.
Couldn't even see him.
And I did see another town, one of the towns that way west, and they spoke about the town meeting at the end of this month. So you have a sign, maybe we can figure out one way or another to bend the rules a little bit. I'm sure John has seen the signs for town meeting.
I have. I've seen those. I can show you where it says we can't do that, but at the same time, I'm not gonna say no. I don't know. It's a tricky one.
I'm not gonna knowingly violate the
Yeah.
Excuse me, you're not gonna what?
law. I'm
no,
not gonna knowingly violate the law.
Okay, good, so
Well, that makes me look bad, but that's okay. I just said I would.
so how do we get a sign until we get a real one put up where the Deer Way Station is? Because we have a town meeting coming up in this month, 25 days, actually 23
You'll have to
days.
pull out your old sandwich board, Sam.
Yeah, but it's only one day a weekend.
do we have any other public comment?
I had something, just as a courtesy, and to give these to you, I've decided to table it until next year, because there's way too many moving parts to it. I was writing something, I started doing some research.
Thank you.
You'll see that I struck
Oh, yeah.
political and religious, and, but
Mhm.
I talked to the chief about it, there's like so much to think about it.
Mhm.
I came up with the idea of just adding.
Okay.
I think, yeah, for anyone not familiar with it, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, it was a do not knock list for salesmen, basically. And I overrode it to like exclude religious and political people too, but I think it violates amendment rights.
Why, are people coming into your house and knocking on the
Not
door?
anymore, but I would have once or twice a week for solar
I had
panels.
them
Oh,
today.
really?
Yeah,
They were at my house today.
yeah. They always come at dinner time. The dog will bark for 45 minutes after they leave.
And they're looking,
They
they're
look
looking to
really
place solar?
Yeah, usually they tell me I need a new roof on
Oh.
a 13-year-old
Oh, really?
house, and they're gonna help me out.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not too popular, nobody visits me.
Well, maybe they'll be at your house tomorrow, because they weren't mine today. I told them I just put a meeting on my house so they could leave.
Yeah, so essentially, this would create a list that I believe would be handed out when they came for permits to solicit. That would give a list of houses that they're not permitted to go to, which, might help determine if people aren't permitted to do it if they're going to those houses. But, so something, it is too late for us to put it on to the warrant, but I think it would be a good one to,
I'll do a
Get
lot
some-
more research.
I think there's a lot of people in town who'd be really interested in it,
Yeah.
to have it on the next
I
warrant.
started reading the bylaws with the different towns that have it, like Tewksbury and Marlboro, and at the end of the day, it seems like the fine for violating it is they're not allowed to come to town for a year.
Mhm.
There also seems to be some laws that you have to re-up every year. It's not like a one and done for the rest of your life. Because who lives in my house this year
Mhm.
might not live there next year.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you for that. Moving right along here to the meeting minutes for May 20th.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from May 20th.
And those are prepared for public release.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes for Monday, May 20th, 2024, and that would be for public release. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, okay.
Public hearing.
Oh,
And that's on the alcohol thing, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry, we're a little late, 6 PM, we're a little late, sorry about that. We need a public hearing for Barre Post 2 Building Association for change of manager for the alcohol permit or license. Do we have someone present? We do. Oh, there they are. Okay. Do we have any questions for them from the board?
Pretty standard.
Pretty standard, yeah.
I'll
It's
pay
just
for
a
it,
change
so-
of manager.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have everything I need.
Any questions or concerns? Those in favor?
I move to approve the change of manager for Barre Post 2 Building Association.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the change in manager for the Barre Post 2 Building Association. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's a vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a
Good luck.
good day.
Have a good one.
You're fine.
Okay, moving along to town administrator report.
I don't really have much. You're gonna see as we go through with I've been working diligently on the budget and the articles, so as we go through that, so then we could go through that and do favorable and unfavorable tonight, so.
Okay, great, thank you. Select board members? John?
Let's see, primarily working on some grant opportunities, but I will get to that later in the agenda. So I'll be looking for a letter of support for one of the grant opportunities from the select board.
Mark?
Well, a couple things we're gonna talk about anyway, later on down the line here, but, I met with the police chief on, solar stuff that we're
Oh,
gonna,
great.
right, and also, he showed me the drone system they got.
Mm-hmm.
That all came in and, gave me a once-over on that too. That's pretty, it's, pretty good stuff for security.
Okay. I have nothing that's not covered later on in the agenda. Correspondence, anything, Tammy? I don't think we came across anything this week. Okay. Moving on to discussion and vote on DPW union grievance. Just to let you know that we've had an opportunity to discuss a grievance issue. We're going to be hoping and working with the grievance committee to ensure that the documents are properly filed, and so we'll be doing more work on that with the Department of Public Works Union.
But there is not a formal grievance filed at this time.
Yeah.
So they have an opportunity
To
to
do so.
file that grievance if
Yeah.
they'd like to.
What's the grievance about? What are the-
Well, we'd rather not discuss it publicly until it's actually real.
Where there hasn't been one filed, we can't.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
When it's filed, you'll share it.
It's not anything of any great substance.
Oh,
Okay, rezoning letter of support, okay, that is
Yep, that's,
an
that's
interesting,
for me.
yep,
So, you may remember we approved ARPA funds to match a grant at our
Mhm.
last meeting for a rezoning effort. So this is a letter that we would like to send with the application. So obviously, bringing it here, I'd like the select board to endorse this letter. I'm also going to be meeting with the planning board tomorrow to seek their endorsement as well, to send this letter. Essentially, I'll just read it. On behalf of the Barre Planning Board and Barre Select Board, we are writing to express our full support for a town-wide rezoning study as detailed in this grant application. This initiative is a critical step towards achieving our community's strategic objectives and ensuring balanced growth. This rezoning effort will also be a beneficial component in the further development of a town master plan. The rezoning effort will include public outreach opportunities to ensure that this rezoning effort meets the needs and aspirations of our community and will seek to provide numerous benefits to our community, including economic development, community well-being, sustainable growth, and improved infrastructure. We're confident that securing this grant will bring this vision to fruition, making a tangible, positive impact on our town. We strongly urge the grant committee to approve this rezoning grant application. The support provided by this grant will provide the necessary resources for the successful implementation of the rezoning effort and, by extension, more strategic goals within our developing master plan. Thank you for your consideration and support.
thank you, John, for the work that you've been doing on this master plan and the grants that surround it. Questions?
So, if we are approved for this, the grant would be, is it 57?
Yes, don't have the exact
Yeah.
amount.
It would be for over $50,000 towards a full look at all of the zoning in town, which could be, you know, a great deep dive into that. That would be a huge benefit to the master plan.
And you hire CMRPC to do this?
They helped us with the application, but I believe we could hire any company once we have the funding.
Oh,
They are our regional planning association though. So.
We have a motion?
Zoning, is it 62.7?
Oh, yeah, so it's, the grant, the total cost is $62,700. We approved $5,700 as a match that we're putting up in hopes of getting this grant, and then the grant amount would be $57,000.
We have a motion?
I don't know where I wrote the letter, if you'd wanna make the motion to endorse it.
I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, okay.
I'd make a motion to support the request of John Dixon, who represents the board in many of our planning efforts, to approve the letter that has been presented and read into the record this evening in order to, be able to apply for and meet the requirements of grants that would work in the community's benefit in rezoning efforts. It's a long one, get me on it, team. We have a motion? We need a second?
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, John, very much for your continued work in this.
So, if the planning board, also wants to endorse it, then I'll have a final copy with their signatures.
Great.
And if everyone could just sign it, we're hoping to submit the application on Wednesday,
Okay.
so we'll have it with the town administrator, if others could sign it at that point.
How much longer on the master plan to come back?
So we're hoping to have it running again this fall. We, a second grant that we are also putting in for with, I can see the email.
Yeah, so I didn't.
Yep, so this is the second one that we approved, grant matching for. So we approved a $12,500 match out of ARPA, to work on phase 2 for the Energy and Environmental Affairs Planning Assistance Grant. So we're putting in that one, I believe the deadline is in a week or two for that one. We'll have that application in as well. And hopefully later this fall, we'll have the master plan phase 2 underway.
Okay. Rezoning letter of support to police department position. This is a tough one for you, chief, tonight. For a fencing thing that you'd like to be doing down at the police station or the public safety building. And if you just wanted to make a couple comments, and we'll be moving forward to make presentations tonight.
So, as part of accreditation, it's required that the generator system be secured with a fence. It's also required that we have a secure storage area that we can, if we seize a vehicle, that we can keep it secured, locked up, and under camera. Chain of custody issue. So I reached out to 4 fencing contractors. Only one got back to me with a couple came out, but only one actually provided me with a quote. So I have a quote here from Precision Fence Company. So for a 20-foot by 20-foot secure storage area for impounded vehicles, and also the security fence around the generator and HVAC external equipment, it's $9,950, which I'd like to request on our
Any questions?
No, I've already spoken about
Okay, so we have a very, I think, complete set of information for this request, and do I have a motion to approve this out of ARPA?
Yep, I would move to approve the use of ARPA funds, the amount of $9,950 for the installation of various fences at the police department from
Second.
Precision Fence Company.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the request of the police the police department to fence appropriate areas as required, and for that to be $9,950 to be supported by the ARPA funds. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, chief.
We'll move on to solar, or are you gonna wait on that?
No, solar's good.
Okay.
And the fencing one, that helps with the accreditation, right?
Yes, yeah, so it's actually required for accreditation.
Yep.
So I reached out to Beacon Integrated Solutions. I had a very interesting conversation with them. They were very familiar with solar projects for municipalities. And she gave me a whole bunch of different information. She did provide me with a proposal. Now, what Beacon Integrated Solutions would do would be basically assist us in designing the system, and also assist us in the decision as to whether or not we want the solar array to be town-owned or owned by a third party.
Okay.
So this is it's a very in-depth proposal that they provided me with. And again, they gave me a budget of $9,900.
Isn't it strange how they all come
I
just
know.
almost to 10,000?
And again, I would be requesting this at ARPA, and this would.
What is the time frame for that proposal to be, if we vote it this evening, to be completed?
Well, she's gonna have to, or I keep saying she's the one that I kept working with, but they're gonna have to come out, they're gonna have to look at all of our power needs, our power expenditures at the public safety building, along with other municipal buildings, because if we can get a large enough array, then we can offset power
Yeah,
at
Yeah.
other municipal buildings.
okay.
So, this is an important step forward, but it's definitely not, this isn't something that's gonna happen overnight.
Right,
Solar project,
okay.
but-
But we've got to start.
Yep,
It'll be good if we have an amount though too, so we can see what we can do with that.
yep,
So this is for the planning of the solar, essentially.
yes, yep, coming up with a design.
And
plan.
they know, obviously, where we would benefit financially
Yes.
because of different programs,
Yep,
correct?
And
Yeah.
that's broken down in here a little bit.
Okay.
There's just different tax credits that are available,
Yeah.
even,
Is this the only response you got?
yes.
Yes, okay. So have you called any references on this?
I haven't, but they do have references listed here, they've done a lot of work. Probably the closest would be Rutland,
Okay,
that they worked with.
that's
Rutland.
pretty close.
Jim, didn't you say that one of our past administrator reached out to this
Yes,
company
so
at one
back in
point?
2016, Heather Lemieux actually reached out to the company about
Okay,
putting solar on the public safety building.
okay. Well, we need a motion?
I move to, I'm sorry, I haven't found the number in here. Do you have that number on hand again?
$9,900. I do have that page.
Not that it's, circumventing the bid law, but,
Page 13. And it's not at the beginning and not at the end. It can get tricky to find. Alright. So I move to approve out of ARPA funds, $9,900 for the planning of solar for the public safety building.
we have a motion made and seconded, seconded to approve out of ARPA $9,900 for the hope that we will be planning and supporting the idea of having solar at the public safety building in the near future. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like another vote.
Very good. Thank you.
Now you could, thank you so much for the help.
Thank you, chief.
Okay, video camera setup, I think that goes to you, Tammy, or John? You're gonna talk about the
So-
video cameras there?
We've discussed a couple of times having the portable stations.
Mhm.
So in looking through that with Tammy, I think the best option would be to set up the third floor with a permanent meeting location similar to this room, and then to have 2 additional portable units at this point for other committees and commissions to use to make those recordings available. DPW's been using one. We've been able to successfully get those uploaded to the website, so anyone can view those meetings, and we'd like to now expand that. And, there may be some challenges that come up with committees that meet in the open. We'll still need to look into solutions for them, but we want to make these readily available to all boards and committees to start recording their meetings.
And I know that when we looked at doing that at the third floor, maybe 2 years ago now, there was a server issue, because we were gonna try to tie in the town hall as well.
Mhm.
And so I think limiting it to one, and this server can talk to the server, because I think we have to have an upgrade with the server capacity, I guess.
Right, and we can revisit town hall after
Right.
we get it even to be ADA compliant and
Yeah.
could have meetings there.
And we are hopeful, obviously, that this will be funded by ARPA as well. I don't know what,
Oh, PEG,
It's
PEG.
funded by PEG.
oh, PEG?
Because
Oh,
it's for
that makes
the
sense.
videoing
Yeah,
and
okay.
stuff like that, and it's gonna,
So authorize the use of PEG for
Yeah.
that, okay. Would you want us to vote for that this evening, to authorize the use of PEG?
Yes, please.
And did we have a number that we were gonna use?
Just maybe about $40,000-$50,000, we're gonna have to really.
Not to exceed.
Yeah, I
Not
would
to
suspect
exceed
that's
50.
way beyond
It's
what,
definitely probably way beyond, but I'd
Yeah.
rather be out, because I know last time, I think Sandy, I don't know if you told me the amount, how much was it, did you have an
that,
estimate?
because that was going to be the senior center, the town hall, and upstairs.
Oh, so it won't even
So-
excel
We
that.
didn't have a, we didn't have.
Yeah,
a house.
so-
So maybe it'd be a lot less than
Yeah,
that. Be
I'm
better.
hoping
Well,
it'll
the
be a lot
portable
less,
one would be-
yeah.
What was the cap on the PEG that we can use?
So we will see, as you see, going through our articles, I have upped it,
Yeah, okay.
so that'd be part of it too.
Okay, so that'll be a town meeting, that'll be one of the
That'll be
articles?
one of the articles.
Okay,
Yeah.
that should be, yeah,
Just basically upping the PEG access
Yeah.
amount.
Right.
So we can get that done.
okay. Okay,
But we are looking to approve the spending out of PEG at this meeting, or is that through town?
I would say at
meeting?
least approve that we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because the annual town meeting's technically, right, gonna be the ones that's going to be approving the funding for
Yeah.
us. But I would say it's just always a good thing just to say you approve that.
Yeah.
We are gonna make that as a, you don't have to put an amount on it, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I move to approve the purchase and installation of a video system on the third floor for a meeting room and for 2 portable video systems.
Second.
we have a motion made and seconded to approve a video camera setup for the third level and for other, at least 2, what do I call those?
Portable camera.
Portable camera. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Easy one, request to use town property, Town Hall Circle of Song for choral rehearsals and concerts Thursday night, September 12th through December 12th, and January 16th through May 15th. And Sandy, they've done all the
Yes, they
complete
have.
paperwork, and, okay,
I
they're,
think they do this every year.
yeah, they do.
And I had to fill it out separately because it's like summer, fall, and, winter, spring, so.
Okay.
Isn't that the name of a princess?
Hmm?
Isn't that the name of the princess? I'm
Circle
being
of
funny.
Song?
Have you ever?
Circle is what? Circle
No,
is-
no, you mentioned, I was listening to you, and you said summer, fall, winter, spring.
Oh.
And I remember on early television, there was a princess called Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring.
You're way ahead of us tonight.
Don't you remember that?
I don't, I'm so sorry.
Do you remember Mr. Bluster
Yes,
from Howdy Doody?
yes.
Uncle Bob,
Yeah. Let's not go back too far here.
that's okay, I don't mind being.
Pretty far
senior.
back already.
Hey, I don't mind being senior.
Okay, could we have a vote on the request for the town property use that has been sent to us by the Circle of Song? And they have completed all of the necessary documents. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the use of Town Hall for Circle of Song on Thursday nights from September 12th through December 12th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. and December,
January 16th to May
14th.
15th.
January 16th to
14th.
May 15th from 6 to 9 p.m.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the request of the Circle of Song group for rehearsals and the use of the town hall for such rehearsals. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's take a vote. FY '25 budget review. Did you want to do some old business first for people? Okay, because that FY '25 one will take a while. It looks like conservation restriction, tentative signing of all CRs. Is that really gonna happen?
Hope so. It's nice to see you all again tonight.
Again, you
And
just
as of
become a
about-
frequent flyer here.
Right. As of about an hour and a half ago, the state officially approved all of the conservation restrictions in the Haas Hill project that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, I'm hoping to answer any remaining questions you might have about the project, but ultimately I'm hoping that you're feeling comfortable voting to approve and sign them tonight. And if you are, And if it's helpful, I drafted a motion that has the language we need and has all of them covered in one fell swoop instead of 7 individual votes.
Mm-hmm.
So for your consideration, if you're feeling ready to go that route.
You can start with you taking a look at it.
Oh, and Sandy has copies of all of the conservation restrictions.
That's okay.
They're all very
It would be
similar, it's a
heavy
lot of
reading.
paper.
It is. I'm gonna go get my folder.
Oh, it lists everything, yeah, okay. Thank you. I guess you're the guy who makes motions.
I tend to do that.
I have the originals too, actually, I don't know if that's what she was going after.
I don't know. As soon as we do the motion and have a vote, we can start to sign, or,
Yeah, if that works for you. If you'd rather do it at the end to keep moving through your agenda, I
well, that would be fine. Yeah, we'd like to do that if we could.
Yeah, that's fine.
I hate-
believe.
Okay,
Well, I don't have any questions.
no,
I think we've covered quite a bit over the last several
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
So,
my house is now totally protected from anything and anybody. I'm feeling good. You think I'm kidding?
so you started this now.
I know, I didn't start it.
All right. I move to approve and sign the conservation restrictions on the Petricone Barre Center for Buddhist Studies, Carter and Stevens Farm, Stevens, Sister Stones, Insight Meditation Society, and Engel Properties.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the conservation restriction areas that have been noted in the documents. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll sign it as soon as we
Thank
wrap
you
it
so
up.
much, I
Okay.
appreciate it. And no changes to
We can keep
taxes.
a,
Yeah.
yeah, Sandy.
So you just make me feel better now. Okay, caregiver patient connection host community agreement. We have some, okay, I read what came from the attorney.
Oh, good,
And
because that's
I-
what I was hoping that you were gonna say,
Well,
'cause
well,
we
yeah.
have a lot.
What I need to do is to have an interpreter.
Yeah, so so this is, so I know he had, you
I'm here to represent Caregiver Patient Connection and
Great.
Hot Dog Farm, so.
right, I
Great.
know you had spoken with Sandy, and he did mention that as long as we keep having it on our agenda, because the state wants to see that we're looking and we're trying to process it all. So, I did talk with Nicole in deep conversation, and there was so much. I was like, oh my, I was like, can you please
Yeah.
send me some stuff over so we can read it and look it over, and, you know, a lot of stuff she had given to us, a lot of things. So with that being said, I would say that we would need to look at it, read it again, and I did send it to each one of you, so you also could look at it and read it. There's a lot of information there, so.
Well, I had this idea from just reviewing her information to us that was really clipped out of a bunch of other letters that she's already responded to in other towns. And I said, oh, okay, and you're kind of following her, and then you go, wait, what is she? Because obviously, I don't think we have any big thing about impact funding or anything like that. We're not crazy people. And we're just looking at it and saying, it appears like a very complex problem that needn't be so. Am I missing something?
This CCC makes things sometimes complicated.
Yeah.
But, so, yes, we're looking for a host community agreement. But at the bare minimum, request the waiver form, which I submitted copies to you.
Okay,
So the host community agreement waiver form, but a signature from the board allows us to continue to move forward with our license renewals.
okay,
At any time, that can be rescinded, you can see on here.
yeah,
Can be, the town can rescind it, and then the waiver may be rescinded upon the commission approval for executed HCA.
okay,
So if we get this at least signed, we can continue moving forward with our license renewals, and then when you've satisfied your, talking with council and trying to figure out how to draft this all up, then we would come back
Yeah.
and sign that.
and I think Nicole spoke, or at least mentioned that,
Yeah,
so
she did.
we should ask her that
Well,
question.
I wanna ask, yeah, she did talk about that, so I talked with her, she had said to me that if we sign the host waiver, that would not be probably like the best thing for us to, because she didn't say we could rescind it. I don't
You
believe
can,
us,
it
I
says right on it that it
misinterpreted
can be rescinded, so.
So
I think
The
with,
HCA waiver that is executed in
Yeah.
accordance with the commission remains in full effect until at such time it is rescinded.
okay.
Any
So
waiver.
we should ask her specifically
Yeah, I
about
think
doing the
we should.
waiver so we can have the time we need to do
Yeah.
that community host agreement, which seems to be a much bigger deal than I thought it would be.
So the next CCC meeting is in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So at what point can we expect?
Well, I think if Michelle can, or Nicole can give us some specifics, that's the attorney, that would it be okay for us to do this as a temporary bridge to getting the host agreement finalized? Then I don't have any problem with it. I mean, it's a very,
So what I'm gonna try to do, Maureen, is schedule a time maybe when you can be in on it
sure.
and hear her talk about,
Okay.
she did mention that, and maybe
Well, I
I'll
mean,
say
even
the
if
same
if you
thing
could do
with
a Zoom or something where we could post it
Yes,
and
that'd be
all three of
great.
us could be
That would be
involved
great.
with it.
That'd be great. Okay, so I'll try to do that.
Okay.
So you need something in the next 2 weeks, or I'm
Pretty
assuming
much.
Yeah.
operations would.
Unless the
Be-
CCC grants a extension on it,
Yeah.
but without an extension, we have no license.
Yeah, well, we certainly won't let that happen. I mean, we're not gonna just,
So
you know,
we need
hold
to,
you hostage
we
to
need to
our,
vote on something on
yeah.
our next meeting, regardless.
Well, our next meeting's not 2 weeks, so
It's
we
not
may
2
have to
weeks?
do
I thought
something
this was, wait,
Yeah, it's 17.
yeah,
Till the
this is the
17th.
first, so the next one.
Yeah, but I mean, that's 2 weeks, so that's
Yeah,
really too
that's gonna
tight
be
for
kinda
them.
tight for you.
I
Yeah.
think
If
this
we
is-
have to, we'll do a quick meeting to just
Yeah.
get that done.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
just, I mean, back to just getting approval on the waiver form.
Yep,
You're all okay with the waiver form, and then it getting rescinded once the.
that should be an easy
the
question
HCA's
for
put
our
back
attorney to
into-
answer.
Into effect, or drafted up, we're okay with that, and
Okay.
go back and sign the paperwork, but.
Yeah.
CCC
We
wants
appreciate
to-
your patience,
Sure.
believe
So-
me.
We might have a small meeting next week then,
Yeah,
essentially,
yeah.
to
Okay,
wrap this up.
all right, appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris, very much.
Take it.
See you, Chris.
Okay, now, so that takes care of that. ARPA funding discussion and approval, do you have anything else there, Tammy, or do you wanna?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to, so we already did the chief's
The fence?
fence and the solar.
The solar.
Yeah.
So I just need, I talked with the fraud assessment with our auditors, and that would be $50,000 to do that.
Wow.
So I would need an approval for that one. Rice Park, I
Yeah.
was thinking 75,000. And then the Henry Woods Building, 30,000, and that would be for the clerk's flooring, the painting in here, redoing the old police station, for floor and the paint.
Okay, so that's a total of what?
So let's see. 675,
The fraud assessment's 50,000?
155,000 altogether. Well, you already approved, the other two, so 155,000
Okay,
be the total.
155,000 for the Henry Woods building and a fraud assessment,
And Rice Park.
and Rice Park. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, we need a motion.
I move to approve $75,000 in ARPA funds for the reconstruction, we'll say, of Rice Park.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve $75,000 expenditure from ARPA funds for the modifications of Rice Park located on School Street. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to approve $50,000 out of ARPA funds for a fraud assessment.
Which is required under our audit, I believe.
Yeah. This is something the auditor said we need to do.
Yeah.
So,
How much?
50,000.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to utilize $50,000 from ARPA funding to complete the fraud assessment that is required by statute and can be managed by Markham, which is our current auditing system. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 I move to approve $30,000 in ARPA funds for improvements to the Henry Woods building.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve $30,000 of ARPA funding to make improvements to the Henry Woods building. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a motion, I think we're good.
Good.
That's good.
I think that's a
Okay.
bunch of things we had listed out last time we went over that we actually have numbers for now.
Yeah, and I know that we have approved the use of ARPA funding to do the rehab of the very old fire escapes, but it appears we've run into a little snag with the
Yes,
building
so we'll be looking
inspector
back
on
at
that,
that.
so we continue to work on that.
Mhm.
we'd hoped to get that done this summer, but I don't know, I'm hoping. Anyway, so we can move back now to what I would say is a lot of the time frame of the meeting is gonna be dedicated to, is the FY '25 budget review. I don't know how you'd like to manage that, Tim, and then the FY '25 annual town meeting warrant review and recommendation vote.
So for the budget review, you'll see that it's all in front of us. It goes down just like it's going to be into our finance report booklet. I don't know if you guys wanna look down and ask me questions, if you have any, because we pretty much have we've gone through all of this, I don't know.
Well,
Or I could go through
you've
each
made,
one.
you've made time for me to go through it pretty much in a lot of detail, Tammy, and we've had some discussions of,
Mhm.
individual line items.
Yes.
But certainly I appreciate the time and attention that you've, provided,
Mhm.
and that the time and attention you've given to each of us to walk through some of the information. Also, our efforts to accurately predict revenues, which is always difficult.
Yes.
We know that the Senate has that state budget locked up, that the House and the Senate budget numbers are different for some of the things that are gonna be utilized to support our community. And they indicate that there will be no movement on the budget at all at the state level until the end of July. None of that is good news for us because we're gonna fly a little blind. But, do you have some areas you'd like to just highlight for us, or?
I don't know if there's certain areas you guys would want from me. I know we did the select board, FinCom, I'll be doing this with FinCom too on Wednesday as well. Trying to see. So legal, we know we upped that one.
Yeah.
Everyone has pretty much stayed at either 2.5%, we did have a few employees that did a little bit higher.
And this is including all of the new contract negotiations for their second year?
So this includes all our contracts
That's
with
great.
the union, and this also I put in the schools as well. So if you go at the very end, you'll see that our budget is up 7%, and that's really, we really didn't do that bad. I think we're doing really well with trying to control. Obviously, we have to be very fiscally responsible. That's one of the biggest thing I can say right now. We're very tight with this schedule, extremely tight with it. Like I said, a lot of people did, level funding. The general budget comes to $14,427,960.13. If you take off what the school has given us, it would be $7,149,784.13. So with that being said, I think, basically half would be like the schools.
Oh, the schools were up 5% at Quabbin and 10% at Monty Tech?
Yes, yeah. Let's see what else is on here.
I mean, we have changed the split for employees, giving them 2%, more that the community will pay toward their health insurance. We're still pretty low on what we pay. We've also given substantial raises to those areas where we've done negotiations, which would be the police and also the DPW, and that has been factored into this.
Yes.
So we've really accomplished what I think the public had encouraged us to get on, because we had been unable to really get employees to work with us. So we've made those adjustments, and our new health insurance program is up 8% compared to last year. So health insurance is a driver.
Yeah, that was really a big,
It's a driver for us, no question, so.
on our budget as well, the health
Yeah.
insurance.
And I mean, we're not telling anybody, any other town isn't grappling with, it's, health insurance is really a struggle, for sure. But, I mean, we were at 32, what was the split, chief?
Was like 32, 60.
Yeah, we went up to 30, so we added 2% on
Yes.
our side to
Yeah.
help employees a little bit, and then, and we went with the program that they wanted, which is an 8% increase, but it provided reasonable co-pays and that sort of thing for our employees. So I think we've made some real efforts to adjust what we do and how we treat financially our employees, so.
Absolutely.
we
And,
hope, that's a good thing.
with the inflation, with, stamps always rising, I mean, there's so many things that go on, and, like, for the most part, they tried to really keep a level funded budget to the
Yeah.
best that they can. See, what we don't wanna run into is we don't wanna run into having this budget where the departments are not able to, work with what they have. And then we end up going into deficit spending, so we did go up a little bit on some things that we had to go up on. It's either that or you're just gonna keep running into this same turmoil that we keep ending up in. You know, oh my God, we don't have enough in this department, or Henry Woods building, everything, literally Sandy gets all the bills. So the Henry Woods building, we did have to go up, you'll see a significant amount on that. But again, otherwise, if you don't do it, you're still gonna pay for your electricity, you gotta pay for your heating, there's so many things you have to pay for that you have to go through. And with that being said, if we don't up it, then you're gonna run into what town of Barre's been running into over the years, and that's hitting deficit constantly. We gotta, go for the times and see where we're at, and just be realistic about it. It is what it is.
We can't just close our eyes and pretend it's okay.
Yeah.
Hit the deficit spending like we've been doing every year.
Okay, so, moving on to the warrant articles and our efforts to give our votes of support to various.
So do you want me to read them, and then you guys can,
Well, I don't know, why don't you just do, I'm very familiar with them, but, if you wanna, whatever anybody would like to do, read each one of them and have us take a vote, favorable or unfavorable, or whatever.
Are there copies of the warrant available?
They will be, this
This
is,
is a draft.
this is a draft,
Oh,
the
yeah,
preliminaries,
that is definitely just a draft.
because the town moderator has not reviewed this.
I don't wanna write on it.
You need Josh to
Yeah.
go through them all, so you guys can save time.
Yeah, these won't be final until after he.
Yeah,
until
well, I
after
mean,
Josh
and
looks at them
And there
as
are
the town
probably some other
moderator.
things the attorney may look at.
Yeah,
Yes, so I'm gonna go to the attorneys.
Yeah.
Electronic copy.
So, so some of these, choosing of town offices and those kinds of things, those are perfunctory that I don't know if we really need to
Right, so
discuss.
you can just tell me Article 1.
Yeah,
wanna look at-
Article 1, would we,
I move
favorable
favorable on Article 1,
favorable on Article 1?
which is the choosing of town officers.
Yeah.
It's
Those
standard
in-
Article 1.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve Article 1, which is the choosing of town officers. And we have favorable, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's a favorable rate thing. To see if the town will accept the reports of the Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee, School Committee, and any other departments. That is, again, something that is typical on every town meeting warrant. And we would look to either provide our favorable or unfavorable recommendation.
I move to have a favorable recommendation for Article 2.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded for a favorable recommendation for Article 2. Those in favor?
Aye.
Payment, I don't know if we have any of these.
I kept it on there, just as.
Okay, payment of bills from a prior fiscal year. We would just give our approval or whatever at the town meeting if there are any, of those bills. We don't
I'm gonna
think there
double
are.
check with Jean, she did say no, but I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, we don't think there are any, so we'll get that.
I move to pass over Article, not pass over, I move to,
Save our
have
recommendation
no
for a later date?
should we have no recommendation or not make a recommendation at this time, I guess is the
Not
question.
not make the
Okay.
recommendation at this
I
time.
move to not make a recommendation at this time. for
Those,
Article 3.
second?
Second.
Those in favor of not making a recommendation at this time?
Aye.
John is an aye.
Aye.
Budget transfers, to see if the town will vote for transfer from any available source of funds, sums of money to be added to departmental budgets, appropriation for fiscal year ending June 24. I guess we'll wait and see if there's any numbers.
So, this would be probably for like, the deficits.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, so you might wanna vote on that one, so
Well,
you can't,
but we can't vote without any numbers here, can we?
well, I'm thinking that, do you usually have numbers in those? 'Cause-
Vote to transfer, well, usually there's, you go on a town meeting floor and you put in
So
a
I'll ask
number.
Jean about the numbers.
So we don't usually make a recommendation till that night.
Okay,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just
Usually
sounds,
there's a select board meeting for the last few,
yeah,
immediately preceding the,
yeah.
okay.
for
I'll
things that
ask
we don't
Jean
have
about
numbers
that.
on. So I would move to not make a recommendation at this time for Article 4.
Those in favor?
Second that.
Those in favor of not making a recommendation for Article 4? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Snow and ice removal account. Again, it looks like the snow removal account, we need to get $8,698.87 from another account. And we have not recognized what account that will be at this time.
That would be it.
Is this to fund the, I'm sorry, is this to fund the next year's snow and ice removal?
No.
No, it's actually this one, so usually you use from free cash.
But
Mhm.
we don't have free cash.
Isn't that iron number normally like way higher?
Oh, way
It
higher.
is a lot
Yeah,
higher,
way higher.
yes.
Obviously, we could have expenditure of ARPA funds to take that off of the books if we wanted to. We can wait on this, because you're gonna give us more numbers as we get closer,
As
correct?
we get closer, yeah.
Okay.
I move to not make a recommendation on Article 5 at this time.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded not to make a recommendation on Article 5 at this time. Those in favor? Aye. Okay, water enterprise and sewer enterprise budgets, I really, I know that you and I spoke about this. I would really have to say, we need to get the sewer and water commissioners to look at these numbers.
I'm fine with that, just basically it's off their budget, but I'm fine with doing that.
Okay, I just, I mean, I would rather talk with
Yeah.
Tom and,
Yeah.
I guess, who's the water guy?
Well, did they already present to the finance committee?
They did present to the finance.
And this is
committee.
the numbers that they gave?
So this is the numbers that I ended up getting off of their sheets.
Okay.
Okay, so this is from them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that this always ends up being a squabble about, okay, when they get to indirect costs. But they're very much in line with what the indirect costs were last year, so I guess I'm probably overthinking it. Indirect costs were 227 up to 242. Makes sense to me, I guess.
And technically, your expenses have to equal your revenues, so that's why you'll see expenses.
Well, I mean, I would feel more comfortable waiting to see what the Budget and Finance does with this.
Okay.
Just because enterprise funds are always things that people argue about to the last hurrah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah? I remember last year it was really ugly. So,
I move to not make a recommendation for Article 6 and Article 7.
we have a motion made and second.
Second,
We have a
yeah.
motion made and seconded not to make a recommendation on Article 6 and Article 7 until the Budget and Finance has had an opportunity to review.
Okay.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Moving along to Article 8, which is the big one, the omnibus budget. I mean, Tammy, is there any reason for us to wait until the Budget and Finance has had an opportunity to review?
I mean, we're still waiting on the school, right?
Yeah.
We're expecting that will
Yeah,
change.
I would wait, let finance and,
I would say watch what Hubbardston does tomorrow night. If Hubbardston passes the budget, it's gonna go. It means it's gonna go. The number's the number. If Hubbardston doesn't pass the budget, then there'll be negotiations and we'll be paying less. But I have no way to predict, because Hubbardston's up, I think, almost 8-9%, maybe more. So,
They were like 11 or like.
yeah,
this one was-
so we'll see what happens.
which number are you guys on?
We're on Article 8. That's the one we're on right
Yeah,
Okay. so
Omnibus
that's
budget,
only the
fixing the
omnibus
salary and
budget.
compensations.
now. So I move to not make a recommendation on Article 8 at this time.
We're not making a motion on Article 8 at this time?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded not to make a recommendation favorable or unfavorable on Article 8 at this time. Those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I mean, I think having that last look-see by the Budget and Finance Committee is essential to us. Okay, we're down to Article 9,
Oh, omnibus schools.
that's schools.
So I would move to not make a recommendation on Article 9 at this time for the same reason.
8, 9, no.
We're basically deciding where we should have started.
No recommendation?
Until more information from Budget and Finance.
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
we okay, Sandy? Article 10, PEG access and cable-related funding, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $110,000 from PEG access and cable-related funds to operate the Public Educational and Governmental Access and Cable-Related Fund established pursuant to blah, blah, blah. And the motion specifically will be, I move to transfer the sum of $110,000 from the PEG access and cable-related operations, to complete the Matrix broadband project and to install equipment on the third floor of the Henry Woods Building to record public meetings. So we're looking to finish the the matrix project up there on, by you, that you say still lately is very slow to go. Do we have,
I'd move to have a favorable recommendation on Article 10.
I'll second
we
that.
have a motion made and seconded to have a favorable, recommendation on Article 10, PEG access and cable-related funding. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving around revolving funds, we have no new revolving funds, correct?
No new ones.
Okay, and the spending limit that is in there is the one that has preceded us last year.
The only one that is up, Board of Health, they asked for 4,000 more, 15,000 for the inspections.
Okay,
So that is.
where's Board of Health?
It was 11,000.
Could they ask for $4,000 more to be
Yes.
used to pay one of its designated for inspections associated with said tests and permits? So that's just an increase in hourly
It's just an
number of
increase.
people, but other than that, everyone is the same
Everything
for
else
the
is the
spending
same.
limit? Okay, those in favor of favorable action on Article 11, the revolving accounts, which have remained the same as last year, except for an increase of $4,000 in the spending limit for the Board of Health.
I move to make a favorable recommendation for Article 11.
I'll second that.
We have a motion made and seconded for a favorable recommendation for Article 11. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to Article 12, which is Chapter 90 grant. To see if the town will accept any, well, I mean, that's just a perfunctory,
It is.
favorable thing, so those in,
But just to clarify to anyone, it allows the town to go ahead with, construction or anything to do with Chapter 90, and that it will then be reimbursed from the state. So I would move a favorable recommendation for Article 12.
Second.
move favorable recommendation for Article 12, the Chapter 90 grant authorization. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving down to the local option meals tax. I don't know if Budget and Finance has decided to make a ruling on that, if that's something we want to wait, and I know you'll have another meeting in, I think tomorrow night? Wednesday night, which is the local option meals tax, which would be an additional tax on meals. And instead of your meals tax being 6.25%, it would be 7%. So it's a very small amount of money, but we do have a number of institutions within our community where there is a lot of meal tax collected. And it is one way to try to take the burden off of households and to put it on individuals who might be coming to a venue within our community and purchasing a meal. We don't think, and 212?
So out of 351, there's 251.
251 cities and towns have this tax. And it's probably worth $35, $40, maybe $50,000 to us if,
It's
it could-
definitely a nice place for revenue to go.
and it's a little extra revenue, and it's revenue that is not borne totally by the property owner. So we think it should be, considered. We're probably being, crazy to believe that people will say, what a great idea. But we think and hope that they will look at it and say, it's a prudent idea. And so, do we have a recommendation on this? You wanna
I
wait?
would move to not,
Okay, until Budget and Finance have an
yeah, I'd like
opportunity?
to hear some of the numbers from that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really difficult for us unless we were to be able to find out, well, what's the meals tax from all of the establishments in the town of Barre? We probably could get that data from the state.
We could check.
And we could say, of all the meal taxes, what would we have earned if this tax had been in place?
Or I could even call local areas around the area that even has it too.
And the important thing is to understand that it would be paid often by people who don't live in the town, for sure, in some of our establishments. The concern, obviously, that some restaurant owners would say, it's just one more thing they have to bother with. And secondly, it may prohibit you from going and having a meal. That's a hard one to make me believe.
Do they deal with it as the state? Like, I don't feel like the restaurant in town deals with it.
I think, I don't know if it's a reimbursement from the
So
state.
technically what happens, I believe, again, don't quote me 100%, but I believe, so it's just like how they go ahead and they give their 6.25% to the state. They would have to do probably the 0.75%, they would fill out a form,
Yeah.
and they would say, so they made this much in, gross amount of sales, and this much would go to the town of Barre.
Well, we can
They would
do,
have to
It's-
report all
It's
that.
paperwork that they have to do
Yeah.
to the state.
yeah,
It
which I'm
is.
sure is not fun, you know,
Yeah.
but,
Every town I go to has this.
yeah,
It does, it's
If I
honestly,
go out to eat in Athol, I'm paying it,
yeah,
yes.
and
Yeah.
Athol keeps it,
yeah.
so.
Well, we thought we would at least throw it up, run it up the flagpole and see if it waves.
Is it capped at 7%?
It-
I believe the
That I
state
don't
sets
know.
the,
Yeah,
I believe the state sets the rate.
The state does set the
So
rate.
we would have no control if the rate were to go up or down, that would, our only option is to have it or not have it, and then the state sets that rate.
and my guess is we could opt out of it over time by the same process, no?
I would assume so, but technically it's, if you're going out, it's not really on the restaurants, it's on us. So are you gonna go to Apple, like you said, you're gonna eat, so you pay it there, so why wouldn't you wanna give it to your own
I
town?
think there's more communities in the state that has it than doesn't.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
That's true,
I believe, I think you said the rate, 250 out of 350 have it.
yeah,
basically,
that's
yes.
75%.
Pretty much anywhere you're going to eat, you're probably paying it.
You're paying it,
Yeah.
unless they don't have, some towns probably don't bother with it, they don't have anything even in the town to,
Like New Braintree
right.
I
they
don't think
would-
there's a
I don't
place
think
to
they
eat
even
there
have one, so
anymore. Used to be Reed's store, but not anymore. Okay,
That would be worth their while.
okay, so we're taking no action on 13. Did we take a vote on that?
I'd move to not
Sandy?
make a recommendation on Article 13 at this time.
I'd second that.
We have a motion made and seconded to take no action on Article 13 at this time. Okay, this is, two more, capital stabilization. Okay, this is Article 14. Yeah,
Please.
purchase a new cruiser for the police department, to see if the town will vote to transfer an amount of $79,000 from capital stabilization for the purchase of and equipping a new cruiser for the police department, okay? We have taken action on that.
I would move to have a favorable recommendation for Article 14.
I'd second that.
We have a motion made and seconded to have favorable action on Article 14 regarding the equipping and purchasing of a cruiser for the police department. Those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, that's a unanimous one for us. Ruggles Lane School Improvement Project, to see if the town will vote to
We'll
close?
close Article 15 for the
From the
special
town
town
meeting
meeting
for
on
the
11/26 in 2012.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Imbalance to a
So,
principal.
what that means is essentially, so there's leftover, essentially.
There is like.
There was an article that was passed in 2012 for Ruggles Lane School improvements. That project came in under budget, and so we would be closing that now so that no more of that money could be spent on that project, and it would go to, I assume, the general.
Go to our debt, so it help us with our, close it,
It
bring down our,
would go to where?
bring down our debt, so
Oh,
go to
bring
our,
down debt.
yes. It'd be a good.
Magic to Sam right now.
Sorry?
It's magic to your ears right now.
Okay, so do we,
Very good.
and this has been approved and reviewed by the Department of Revenue, so this is a
Yes, I'm
legal?
gonna double check with Jean, but
Okay,
I'm under the assumption it is, but I will double check that.
this
Yeah,
is,
so this will be applied to the balance of the principal for that project.
Yes,
So we're gonna take down the principal that we owe on that project.
Yeah. and this is the roof and window project for Ruggles Lane School, so.
Does that mean the principal will be all paid?
we'll bring some of it down, and we'll be all paid.
Okay.
I don't know what
So-
the balance is, but I can find out.
So the interest amount will be less because we have less
That's right,
principal
It should be.
should be,
that's
I
paid.
assume it's, yeah.
should be.
I would just say the bond market, probably what that interest on that bond is, 14 years ago, was like giveaway money, 1%, 2%, 3%, and really,
Not every percent counts.
yeah, I know. So, I mean, I'm just saying, that's just such a nice thing to think about, what used to be.
So I would move a favorable recommendation on Article 15.
Second.
We have a motion made, seconded to have a favorable recommendation for Article 15, the Ruggles Lane School Improvement Project. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, overlay and surplus account, surplus use of funds, to see if the town will vote on Article 16 to appropriate from the Board of Assessors overlay surplus account a sum of money to pay for the deficits in the following account: the CARES Act grant, the sidewalk improvement grant, the economic development grant, the open space recreation grant. I mean, I know you've worked really hard on this, Cameron,
Yes, me and the
Very
town
important
accountant, we went
to
down
do.
to the Board of Assessors, so Jesse's here as well, and,
Thank you so much for your cooperation as
Yeah,
the Board of
help
Assessors,
us.
that was great.
it was excellent. They were really very, understanding, and again, like I've said before, this is their line, they don't have to give us anything, so
Right,
we were very grateful that they, were able to help us out on this.
Yeah.
And this will bring us to basically a fresh start. Otherwise, we would again continue to hit deficit. We don't wanna hit deficit, we gotta get us out of the red.
do we have a motion?
I move favorable, recommendation for Article 16.
Second.
We have a motion to make a favorable recommendation on Article 16. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there's a there. Water, sewer, union contract, blah, 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 blah. And this is the retained earnings thing. Okay, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the water and enterprise funds retained earnings account of sum of money for the rate increase and retroactive pay required by the union contract. And the proposed things is they take $25,000 from water and sewer. And you can see where they've got those retained earnings established there, and that's to pay that retro to the,
It's basically to correct the appropriation that was
Yeah,
from last year,
okay.
yes.
we have a motion.
I move to have a favorable recommendation for Article 17.
Second.
A motion to make a favorable recommendation on Article 17. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Assessors recertification of properties. We
Yes,
have an
yes.
assessor here who can sit and tell us all about this.
Yes.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow or transfer from available funds a sum of money to pay for costs associated with the assessor's recertification of properties, special appraisal expenses, cyclical reinspection, and annual interim adjustments, or take any other action there too. So, we will request $35,200 to cover the required activities, $20,000 towards FY '29 recertification. This article is for various programs that we have to adhere to. So when it says, so you won't be using this money until FY '29?
So, yes, in theory. So basically what that is every 5 years, well, okay, so cyclical re-inspections are things that we have to, according to the state, visit at least every single property in town once every 10 years, so that we're consistently getting new data on the properties and making sure that our data is accurate and correct. This has been in practice for quite some time, since before I started to do it, and occasionally, the reality is we have to pay for a third party occasionally
Yeah.
to assist us in gathering that data. It happened a few years ago in 2019, where we had to pay for a fair number of assessments. We had to pay for help with a third party, especially due to some new input from the Department of Revenue that has basically told us that we need to do a lot more full measure and list inspections, as opposed to a lot of what had been done in terms of street side inspections of just the exterior property. And so we are making a concerted effort to accommodate that, but that also comes with a potential higher cost in the event that we do need to hire somebody to assist us with that.
Okay, so tell me, so you will start this, are we upfronting money that will sit in an account? Is that what we do?
Essentially, so specifically for cyclical. So that'll sit in its own kind of line item budget, and we'll spend it as we need to over the next few years to make sure that we're keeping with that schedule, so that we're keeping that track of visiting every property down at least once every 10 years, doing a full measure and list inspection so that we have as complete a data profile as possible.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you want,
It's an ongoing process that we might
Okay.
need to constantly spend out of.
Okay, so the inspections are going on regular, it's not just once every 10 years, every house gets done on the same year. It's,
Right, no,
there's-
it's,
okay.
that would be completely feasible.
That would be insane, yeah.
Yeah, so we're.
Well, that would
we're-
explain why we need a lot of third-party help too, so.
Yeah, so ideally, what we're doing is,
Yeah.
we're doing a set number of inspections per year so that we keep the number of inspections we need to hire out to a minimum.
Okay, to just have a consistent amount of them,
Right.
essentially.
so, so this is something you need the total amount upfront to sit in an account?
Yes, so to clarify.
I only say this because our budget's very tight. Could we do like 25,000 only, or 15,000 for year one, and then add to it next year, or?
This is something that I'm going to be speaking about with the Board of Assessors.
Okay.
We have a meeting tomorrow. So I will be finalizing all the
Okay.
numbers
Okay.
with them tomorrow, and then I'll be happy to speak about it too at
Good.
the upcoming Finance Committee and Select Board meetings on the 5th and 12th.
I don't wanna sound scrimey, but I'm just thinking, you know, if we didn't have to put the whole 35,000 in, you know, for 1 year, we could, you know, do 17 and then 17. But if we can't, we can't.
And we completely understand that the budget is very tight what it
Yeah.
is. So this is, like I said, something that I will be going over and finalizing with the board to get their recommendation on what we believe is realistic for what we need
Yeah, okay,
for the coming year.
Okay.
Also, I would be remiss if I didn't expound a bit on the reason we're requesting this. So to be clear, not all of that money is just for the cyclical inspection.
oh,
A
okay,
portion of it is, whereas a larger portion, the biggest portion as it's currently framed, is for what's called recertification.
mhm,
And so what that is we're currently in a recertification year where we've had to hire a third-party vendor. We're required to meet a much higher set of standards in our inspections and data analysis every 5 years to make sure that our data is accurate. And so every 5 years historically varies. Assessor's office has always hired out a third party to assist us in that data, and that can be very expensive. This last year it was $18,000 to hire this one person at a base, and then that may incur later spending later, hopefully not. But so that's where a bulk of that money is for as well, and that happens every 5 years that we have to do that. The other portions of it, special assessments, those, I believe the only thing that we have that is currently falling under that is we are required by law to have a third-party expert value our 504 utilities, so the electric,
mhm.
Mass Electric and
Yeah.
New England Power. And so we always have hired out the same person, and they have cost about $1,000 per year, but that price may increase, and so that's what that is for. And the last thing was for interim adjustments. And
Okay.
those are the years that we have, where we have to revalue properties between our 5-year certification windows.
Mhm.
And usually we've always had to hire a third party to assist us with that as well, and that can be very expensive. So that's why we're requesting that bulk of money, the 32,000 and change, for all of those purposes.
Okay. I think that there's one little thing that we just have to take a look at. It says here, description article to correct the appropriation for DPW and sewer. That must be a different article it goes with.
It might be, like I said, somewhere.
It goes to, you know, it's Article 18, Jesse's talking us through that, got it? And then
Oh,
it says,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think that's just, you know, as you're going through your word thing, just to take that out of there. So shall we wait then and to get more information before we move favorable action?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's good. I would
Jess-
move to not make a recommendation at this time. We'll see.
I'd second that.
We'll hold a recommendation till a later date, that has been moved
So
and
the
seconded.
committee's met and, yeah. I think
Those in
that's-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to number 19, which is the compensation for a part-time assessor. That's another one we'll wait on again. You'll have more specifics on that?
So that one is pretty much, I'm hesitant to speak on behalf of the board.
Yeah. Do you have, do
But
you,
as far as I know, that is some language that we have used every year, and
And
basically
did-
what that does is that allows us to, in the event we need to, pay out of usually, I think it's cyclical funds to
Okay.
one of our board members to assist us
Okay.
in data collection and
Okay.
inspection.
okay, so that's, okay. So we're not putting extra money in the omnibus budget for this?
No.
This is just allowing you to have, the
Right, that's already budgeted for.
okay. I have no problem
This
with
comes up
favorable
every year,
action
I
on
believe.
that.
It
Yeah.
does.
So I move favorable recommendation for Article 19.
Yeah?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded for favorable action for the compensation for a part-time assessor. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then we move on to the Barre Reservoir Dam.
So I haven't got all the funds yet back from the attorney, so I just kinda like put it in there.
Okay, so we're just not gonna do anything with that one tonight?
We can discuss it.
Yes.
Essentially what this is to raise and appropriate, and this is the number they gave us, right? $15,000. And essentially, this would be to determine the feasibility of obtaining access to the Barre Reservoir Dam. We had several meetings, I want to say last year, about the Barre Reservoir Dam. The consensus at those meetings seemed to be to have a partial breach that retains the current level. In order to do that, though, we need to have access to the dam. We need to purchase or somehow obtain the right-of-way to do that. So this would be, asking the town if there is support for that. This is the first amount we would have to pay towards that to determine, what land is available. This would just be to do the study and the engineering to get the right-of-way. So it will be up to the town, essentially, to decide if we want to move forward with trying to acquire the land to save, essentially, the Barre Reservoir Dam.
Is there a plot plan for this land that you are looking to acquire?
Nope, this would be to determine what land we should look at acquiring, essentially.
Some stuff off of Williamsfield, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there is a small plot that the dam is on. It is not accessible by any public access right now. There's private access that's open to the public, but there's not a public right-of-way that we would need for proper maintenance. So this would be to determine, if we are going to pursue saving this dam, how much would it cost to get the land necessary?
Yeah, good question.
It would determine, what it would be, how much it would be, and essentially do that early engineering of that.
So is your recommendation that we provide favorable recommendation?
We can get the wording fixed out more. I think this is one where I really think it's up to the town, but
Yeah.
overall, I would be in favor of this.
Mhm. Well, I think you've made the point, and I think appropriately so on a number of occasions, that unless there's gonna be some public access, why would the town do this?
We have to, in order to maintain it, we have
Yeah.
to have public access, and this would be the first step in determining how much public access would cost to get.
Yeah. Mark, you have a comment on that? Do you
No.
Do you wanna wait on the vote then, of whether we're gonna say favorable or unfavorable at this point?
I'm fine. I'll make a motion to move to have a favorable recommendation.
I'd second that.
I would as well. So those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Article 21. I don't know if you wanna read, I know there's.
Sure, I mean, I can,
There's a couple, I think there's just a couple little problems with things that were repeated in, yeah, it's just the introductory paragraph, just needs a little bit of wordsmithing. Just because it's like, with the select board 2 times and stuff, so just not anything that would change the spirit and intent, but we need to just clean up the intro stuff.
I think there was a
There's
version
lots-
after this.
There's lots of words.
Oh, perhaps. This is the only one I have.
On number 21, there's lots of words for the citizens to understand and be confused about.
Yes, for sure. One thing that,
So this is where it went to 2
Yeah.
articles.
Do you wanna read it?
So,
and it's the last article, Stan, you know how people love that.
what's that? Yeah, I think there's actually a more updated
Okay,
version that we need to get into this. And the reason for this more updated one was essentially it split it into 2 articles. The reason for that is by doing this, the first article would then make it possible to have a road commission. The second one would then establish the road commission.
okay.
The reason being, then the road commission would not be established by the state legislature, so we wouldn't be tying that up through the state legislature, which is, some of the challenges we have now. So essentially then, the town, aside from the state, would establish the road commission.
And I would strongly recommend that this be the topic and placed on the agenda for the DPW meeting, which is supposedly to be held
I'll
next Monday.
be sending
Good.
a number of items to be put on the agenda
Good.
for the DPW meeting.
And because
You're all certainly welcome to put
Yeah.
whatever you want on.
and
that.
this is substantive, and I just think that, merits discussion at
Yeah.
that level, so that we can be very open and so forth about where we're
And
heading.
we'll have the correct version,
Okay,
sent
So-
out to be distributed to
so
DPW
we'll take no
commissioners
action at this
before that.
point?
Sure.
Well, until and then we'll get the new
My
version?
only question with it, I first saw this language and I'm talking about something that nobody in the room except you guys, I think Sam had it. I first asked questions to Tammy when I first saw it. I was confused by it. One of the questions I asked was like, did current employees have to reapply for their job? I didn't realize it was being put on the agenda, the 22nd. I did watch that on TV. Way more confused after that meeting than I am now. But one thing that stuck out in that meeting, like, I think people were like, when are we gonna talk about this? Oh, there's plenty of time, but there's not.
Mhm.
Like, we're at town meeting in 3 weeks, and still it hasn't really been vetted by the, usually get the town meeting.
Usually there's
People argue, and then somebody stands up and says, you've had 15 meetings to come to and argue about this.
Well, there's no
Now
question,
there's not
yeah,
15 meetings.
yeah, well, there's no question that, that we potentially may have to do more legwork in order to get people to understand the specifics of it and to ensure that we get, because getting and moving through this process alone is at least a year to 18 months to get through a home rule petition and to do all the background work on that. So this is not something that we're gonna stand up on that evening and say, oh, tomorrow, this'll happen.
But no,
We know there's a lot of work.
typically for something where would be changing, anything like this, we do wanna have, a public hearing
Yeah.
at some point. So I know things are getting tighter now, we're gonna have to schedule that very soon. But there should be a public hearing on this before then, to get
Well,
proper, the 12th.
Is the public hearing ready?
Oh, okay, so it's
Yes.
going to be part of the public hearing on the 12th.
But I mean, this is a public hearing on its own.
Yes.
In a nutshell, what will happen with the existing DPW?
So
Well,
the DPW itself, like the employees don't change. This is just the way.
management.
So it's a way that a commission is structured, and essentially what it does is it turns that department, the DPW, so it operates more similar to the police and fire department. So there will be more oversight from the town administrator. And I believe the DPW director would have more say in hiring than they currently do. And then the commission would essentially be taking something of a step back on that out, but you would still have your sewer commission doing the sewer work, water commission doing water, and then this would pave the path for the next item, which would be to have a road commission. The road commission could then do, take care of the roadway decisions that the select board currently does.
How is this all gonna better the town of Barre?
Well, one of the first and foremost things is it can provide a lot better accountability. Sam, you were at the DPW commission meeting where there was discussion about, does the DPW have to follow any of the directives put in place by the select board, such as, asking before contacting legal. This would make it clear that they are, just like the police and fire department, do have to follow those. And similar, we've also been discussing heavily the need to have purchase orders. The way it's structured right now, we can, as a select board, enforce purchase orders on every department except the DPW. This would also change it so we could require purchase orders from the DPW, just like we would require from police, fire, and every other department.
I think certainly that years and years ago, whenever they put the idea in to have a commission which had sewer represented, and see, it's very difficult when you talk with the sewer people, when you talk with the, people who are elected as water commissioners. When you say to them, well, the selectmen would, they view this, okay, because, the few who have seen some of this say, all you guys, these three, want to do is wrest power away from other people who are elected by the same people you're elected by, through the same, voting procedures, and you don't have the right to do that. We say, okay, we don't have the right, but certainly the going through the state and creating the situation that would allow it, because that's how this happened. They went to this commission was, I think, in 1987.
88.
Yeah, put together, and and I don't, because was the first time we were gonna have a sewer that would actually function in the town. So the commissioners who worked very, very hard to make that all happen, they didn't wanna give up control, and they also needed to hire a person or persons who could manage and run it. So they became a commission. Then the water people said, well, we're gonna be, because we have an enterprise fund too. So they became a commission. And then the selectmen were just sort of there, I think.
For the
And
roads.
so we were there to sign chapter 90. And so when it becomes like, who hires and fires the current, okay, leadership, they say, well, and if I were them, I would say the same thing. Wait a minute, why are you three gonna take over hiring and firing anybody when it should be the sewer commission and the water commission and the selectmen all working together to do that? So this is not,
Essentially, the DPW commission has been working as a combination general manager, head coach. And this would separate, so the select board can oversee personnel issues, just like they do for every other department, being the general manager, and then your sewer, water, and highway would be your, offense, defense, and special teams coaches.
One thing was clear from watching it, I think Sam could agree, he was in the room, like, the communication wasn't there. Like, I'm not blaming you guys at all.
we all have responsibility for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and even looking, like Mr. Chase and Mr. Caruso, like, looking at the looks on their face, they were even confused a lot of times when stuff was being
Yeah,
brought up.
it's
like,
challenging
the first day
when,
you'd heard of it.
an item isn't on the agenda, so people didn't have a chance to review it because we didn't have the finalized wording, which we're still getting out. So it wasn't on the agenda, it was brought up as part of a report, not as an agenda item. I think if we had the wording properly there, which will be there for the next one, and people will have a chance to review it beforehand, I think that will go a lot smoother once it's in an actual agenda item and legally posted.
And then one of the big ticket items, like, what's this gonna cost the town? Like, if there's a lot of figuring out to be, is that free to figure it out, or like?
well, I wouldn't say it's gonna cost us anything other than a lot of work from the town clerk, figuring out how she
who's
creates,
directly underpaid?
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah. And, well, I mean, it's just more her time and effort, I'm guessing. And I would suspect that this is not something that I expect,
Yeah.
okay, is just gonna say, what a great idea, whoever came up with it, right? What a great idea, let's do this. Because I would suspect, if I were sitting on that commission, either one of those, I would say, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not gonna abdicate what authority I've had for years, because some of these people have been on these commissions for a
Well,
dog's age.
We would hope that everyone would look through it and
Yes.
decide for themselves if they believe this is in the best interest of the town as a whole. And I expect everyone will do that and form their own opinion on that. And
It-
if that means giving up their own authority in order to have something that's better for the town in their opinion, then I think they're reasonable people who would do that.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't think we should underestimate that.
Well, I'm not
people can form their own
underestimating,
opinions.
I'm not underestimating it. I'm saying that if you're on the sewer commission, if you're on this whatever, you feel that, okay, you have put a lot of your time and effort into it, and because they feel that it's sort of been, hey, surprise, look what we got, and it's so close to, rolling it out at town meeting. I think that that's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to change hearts and mind in 3 weeks. Because they haven't, I think the other night, they've got a copy of this, I think, from
It was
the
in-
Budget and Finance, I believe,
An early version.
an early version.
Right.
So,
The final wording will be out.
yeah,
will be
and
available.
without a lot of public support, we're not gonna get it through a home rule petition, I'll tell you right now. We're gonna have to have, the selectmen and the sewer, everybody on board to make it happen at the state level. Because they're all gonna say is, well, wait a minute, who votes? Who votes in Barre? Who votes for us? I mean, I hate, and most of these senators and reps really won't care. They say, Barre, where's Barre? It'll be up to Durant and, the other guy there, Berthium, to push it through. And maybe if we're lucky, you'll get a couple people who know them, and we'll say, because nobody's gonna care about this except for the people who represent Barre.
The
So,
first step is to put it at town meeting,
Yep.
and then,
well, I don't think that's the first step to put them at town meeting. I think the first step is to do the public hearing.
well, yes,
And
yes,
you know
but
what I mean? And
I'm
really,
saying it has to go through
Yeah.
town meeting before it goes to the state.
I would just be cautious when you say, if we're not prepared and we put it through town meeting too soon, and it becomes very controversial and gets voted down, the home rule petition will be much more difficult to get. You know how I am, I'm just always in this political animal saying, I'm telling you what they like.
So you're saying, as the folks that we voted in to represent us,
Mhm.
you're saying this is the first step to better growth for the town of Barre?
Well, this is the first step
is
to look
a-
at a different model.
It is an important step towards financial stability across the entire town. without this step, we can't enforce purchase orders across the entire town. We
What
can
are
do
they
it for
buying at
most.
the DPW that they shouldn't be buying though?
But
Like,
it's,
I
it's a
get
matter of
people-
having a consistent policy across the entire
But
town.
are they buying stuff they're not supposed to buy?
I'm not saying any department's buying stuff they're not supposed to buy. We're not trying to single out any department. We're trying to put policies in place for the financial benefit of the town, and we're trying to put them in place across all of them. This also allows us to have a road commission, which is the primary purpose that this was put in here. But there are financial benefits to it aside from that.
The one thing I noticed from that meeting when you brought up the road commission, all the towns that you gave an example of didn't have sewer and water. So it's
Okay. Right,
I've
and,
seen every different DPW structure, I've
Yeah.
represented DPW workers all over the state. Everyone's different, everyone's more confusing as the next. I wish everybody luck involved, because
Yeah.
I don't even get it,
And
I
I-
don't.
yeah, and the first part of the article on its own is merited just on a financial accountability across the town. The second article, the road commission, that's a different discussion to have.
How many years of the people that are in those offices voted for? Like, for example, if I put something up the town, meeting that would unelect you guys in the middle of your term, like, can you even do that?
You
Well,
mean,
This wouldn't happen in the middle of a term, it
Yeah.
would be set to, so
expire
no
or
one,
something.
no one is losing their position, they're still going to be on the sewer commission or the water commission.
They're not, just have a
And
different job description, sort
Right,
of thing.
it's just changing what the DPW commission does.
See, if you
The
wanted to
sewer and
have,
water commission are not affected by
you
this.
see, if
I'm
you,
open for anything, I wanna understand.
the thing of it is,
what-
if you wanted to do it piecemeal, and you wanted to say, we want purchase orders for everybody,
Yeah.
you could put that on the town meeting warrant, and it'd pass tomorrow morning without a public hearing.
Yeah.
This, probably not so quickly.
So, yeah, we're gonna have, I do think it would be good to have a separate public hearing
Yeah.
about this, aside from the public hearing on Wednesday. I'm sure this will be on that as well. But, aside from that, we're gonna,
Should we schedule not a separate one right now?
Well, I
Just
think,
because I would have to mention to finance and,
I don't know when they're always done before the
okay,
session, whatever you wanna do. It's gonna fall on you.
it's fine.
Need a calendar extender.
so, let's see, June,
Does this-
June 3rd
does this
today.
have to go on?
10th is their meeting,
This warrant, or did you do it next year?
maybe we could.
I think it's good to put it forward. Well, let's have the public hearing, and we can decide from there. So,
I mean, we at least have to give, like
Right.
5 to 7
we
days for.
want proper input.
Yeah.
So the 12th, what is it, the 12th we're doing?
It was difficult to get the wording together proper,
The 12th is the
unfortunately.
public hearing.
I mean, this doesn't really have any financial impact, you know what I mean? So if it,
Long-term it does, but
well, yeah,
not
yeah, but I mean,
directly to this year's
for
budget.
this town meeting, you know what I mean? In other words, we're not voting any money, we're not doing anything like that, so it wouldn't be so awful from the budget and finance perspective, because this is all just,
Yeah, no, I agree.
but somebody's gonna wanna know, prove it. Prove it's better, prove it's gonna do this. I'm sure we're gonna hear that at a public hearing, and we should, I
Yeah.
get that.
So,
How is this new process of organization and management, how would it have affected the building of Stetson Road that was a fiasco?
so, I assume you're talking about the part of having a road commission?
Right,
So,
in the past,
It was something else.
in the past, the Stetson Road was just built because someone said we needed whatever reason. So with this new process of management, how would
So,
that have
so one of
been
the
addressed?
things, so, Stetson Road was approved by the select board to be paved over, quite a while back.
Quite a
I think
while back.
before I started,
I
actually.
think, well, yeah, a long time ago.
And one of the things I've noticed is that the select board is primarily elected for purposes other than their knowledge about roads. Usually personnel, union negotiations. So there's an opportunity now to elect specifically people who have an understanding of roads to make those decisions about roads. Similar to the discussion we had about lane widths and pedestrian accommodations on Valley Road. There was, discussions there, and, you see quite a few pedestrians going down that road every day now, but you know, it's a decision made by people who are elected to primarily handle personnel issues, not, you know, roadway issues.
Well, that would be worse then, because the selectmen are overseeing everything. So if you have three yahoos like me, who are more involved in personnel and all that, I'm still gonna say no sidewalk. Okay, so that's not a good thing. I mean, you have to have
To
people,
make those roadway design decisions, that's part of what this is.
yeah, but I mean, you and I both know, when people run for any position in this town, it's oftentimes, come on, please run, please
I
run.
could run for it, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, so it doesn't mean necessarily that, but you get people who might be interested.
But there are a lot of people in town who've worked for MassDOT, who've worked for other agencies.
Yeah, and they're not running for anything. That's the
What are they gonna run
problem.
for?
Well, because they could run
There's
for,
people who know a lot about roads who aren't running for sewer commission because they don't know anything about sewers.
well, it
I
doesn't,
mean-
it doesn't usually stop anybody from running for something if they don't know anything about it. When you have people who have been on these positions for a lot of years, my only concern is, I think it's too much too soon. I think throwing this on at a quick public hearing, then it's gonna crash and burn. I don't think you're gonna get it, you're gonna get the support and have people really truly understand it. And, you know, I would say if this is our goal, it should be, okay, we start with some initial information. If you want a personnel, or shall we say, a purchase order system, go to town meeting with that. That'll get voted in 15 minutes. Wham, the hands will go up, and it
2
does.
years ago, it went to town meeting and it got shot down. It was
What?
a citizen's petition.
For what?
POs?
No, sorry, not for POs, it was for posting purchases online, which is a step
Okay.
that the POs moved towards.
Yeah,
But,
that was
and,
asked
and
for
at
by
that
the
meeting,
yeah.
at that meeting, I sat there,
Nine.
you, right? So I was the only select board member who said, yes, we should go ahead with this.
Mhm.
I was the only one who was favorable on that, and this is a step towards getting that done. This, you and
Well,
And
we're gonna agree to
Greg-
disagree on how
you
to
and
get
Greg
there.
told
but-
me about all the obstacles in the way, so we're working on getting rid of the obstacles in the way.
Well, there's always a path of least resistance and a path of, you know, success. I don't know. I'm just,
Your objections are noted in my mind.
yeah, as yours are in mine. No, I respect the effort. I just think that getting a home rule petition through and all that
It's not about
kind
the
of,
home rule petition at this point, it's just about town meeting.
well,
The home rule petition is the second step.
okay, it's just about town meeting.
We need the town to be favorable, and that will help us determine if it
Mhm.
goes to home rule petition.
My fear is, I believe Dr. Marshall's fear, it could be the best idea, but it's not vetted and it gets up there and they shoot it down next year when it comes back, they're not even gonna listen. They're gonna say this thing was a joke last year, it's a joke.
See,
this
I
year."
would, to make, this is such a substantive thing, I would say that what we put on the thing is to create a town, okay, committee, and very specific, and there's 5 members and blah, 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 and they're working, and you're gonna chair the committee, and you're gonna work through it with a committee that is gonna investigate into this and that, and then there's gonna be a presentation of substance. I just worry that if you lose it going with no substance, it's like building a school. You just don't wander into town meeting and say, hey, we really need this. It's a year of, 2 years of, talking about it. We having meetings and stuff. I just think it's a huge and substantive change and probably a good one. And if managed properly, it'll happen. If we don't, we lose it, and then we're sitting back doing the same thing every year again.
I hate to leave at this very important point.
No,
of
we're ready to,
discussion,
we're ready to end the discussion.
but because I have an appointment at 8 o'clock.
Will you go and do your appointment,
Thank you
Sam?
very
Thanks for
much.
being here.
Have a good one, Sam.
Thank you, keep up the good work. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are we,
I move to adjourn.
well, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Oh, I thought that's what you were saying about.
No,
me to wrap
that-
this
You
up.
didn't make a motion on it,
Move to not make a recommendation at
No
this
action.
time for
No,
Article
no.
21 and 22.
wait a minute, what?
Or it's supposed to be 20, it's
He's
the
got
wrong version's in here.
he's got a new draft coming.
Yeah.
Which
The-
makes
The
more
correct
sense.
version would be 21 and 22.
Yeah.
So,
21 and 22?
To take no action at this time.
No recommendation?
No
action?
recommendation.
yeah.
No recommendation.
No recommendation at this time, or the same we did for all the other ones.
Okay.
So we can still revisit it the day.
We have a
of.
second? We have a motion made and seconded to take no action at this time on Article 21 and 22, which will appear in a later version.
Yeah, but right now, when I do my minutes, it's only gonna be.
Yeah,
Article
yeah,
21.
21.
Yeah.
Okay.
But-
I'm
the current one will be ready for the finance
The-
committee.
Those in favor?
I
Aye. Okay, I think we're going, now,
Now,
we will
Okay.
entertain.
move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, not debatable, so those in favor? Aye, aye, aye.
No, there's so many.
Oh, the versions from.
John moved.